You guys contribute more than I'll ever know. So far, we registered more than 150 students, and hopefully the night keeps on continuing going. And I want to thank everybody for showing up and for being here. Right now, my name is Travis Washington. I want to thank everybody for showing up today. This is a great moment in our history as a university. No other schools really do this, especially pass out the peace accord. Even though we have struggles, we're going to get through them because we can always and we shall always overcome. This is our chance to shape society to fit our image. Whether you're Democrat or Republican or Independent, we have a lot of things in common. We're all worried about the future. We are all worried about a future job. We are all worried about student loans, am I right? And then also we're worried about the job market and taxes. We all have a reason to be out here. And right now, I really don't like what the media is saying about the country is more divided than ever, because the majority of this country is actually against racism and discrimination. When you look at the civil rights movement, brown, black, and whites all work together as a majority, and they overwhelmingly overcame and conquered the hate. When you look at the protests now with Black Lives Matter movement, you see white, brown, and black people once again coming together to push forward an idea of coming and making this state, this country, a better place. Right now, it's been, maybe 2 years ago since the Virginia protests. When you see the majority, and it looks like the majority is for hate, but that's not true. Malcolm X once said, the media is the most powerful entity on earth. They have the power to make the innocent seem guilty and the guilty seem innocent. And that's power because they control the minds of the masses. I bet you when you see the TV, you think, oh my goodness, this country is split in half. But by looking at this room, we don't seem to be fighting. We seem to be getting along right now. And we have to overcome that and challenge that thought. When you look at the importance of voting, one U.S. District Judge, Lynn Conrad, who grants injunctions to the Nazis in Virginia, he gave them a pass to legalize protest. And you have to challenge that. He gave them the pass, the free reign to do that. And also he gave them the police protection. We have to challenge that entity and make sure that all of us can come together to make sure this country is a better place. And right now, how many of you guys heard about the Brock Turner case? The judge who gave him free reign and dropped the case, the judge ended up losing his election upcoming. That shows you the power of people coming together and voting. Right now, a lot of us go through things that are difficult in our lives and we want to change the status quo. A lot of people in the rural communities are left behind. We judge them. We assume that they're racist, they're ignorant, this, that, and the other, but they're people. We do this in the brown and black community. We do this all over the country. We judge people without actually hearing their story. I'm sure some of us in here have seen or heard somebody with mental illness or mental crisis, and it's not getting the proper funding. This is how you challenge it, by coming in and voting. This is how you change the status quo. Right now, all of us have an issue that's mattering, that's important to us, and to challenge the injustice in the United States of America. And if you look how our politics change, when we think about Colin Kaepernick taking the knee, a lot of people are saying he's disrespecting the flag, and you got a lot of people saying, no, he's not, and he's hurting veterans, and then no, he's not. But the thing is, has anybody talked to the veteran? We cut $400 million from Veterans Homelessness Program. When we had troops in Iraq and Afghanistan, we foreclosed 5,000 houses while they were abroad. And one of the secretaries of the Department of Veteran Affairs wanted to close 1,000 veteran hospitals. These are our own soldiers. How does a nation treat those beneath us when they come back home? This is your chance, your opportunity to change the status quo. What are we gonna do? What are you gonna do about that? And the thing is, a lot of people are like Democrat, Republican, but at one point, when the Civil Rights Bill passed in 1963, it passed with a majority of 70 votes. There was a mixture of Democrats and Republicans who desegregated the United States of America. There was a majority that desegregated housing. Right now, the politics has changed a little bit, and a lot of us feel uncomfortable talking with people that have indifferences. Why is that? How are we supposed to be a better nation? How are we supposed to overcome? My granny woke up every single morning seeing a sign saying blacks are not wanted. Mr. Banks, my next door neighbor, Mrs. Matthews, and my teacher, Father Brown. And I owe them this to register people to vote no matter who they are. And I'm sure everybody in this room seen some type of discrimination. But the best thing you can do is to fight the good fight and challenge your politicians. Tell them what is up. We have $1.5 trillion in student loan debt. What are you going to do about it? This is your chance to challenge them. And then right now, one of the things that actually issues that I promised my dad I was going to talk about is this guy named John Burge. He was a dude who used to live in my father's district, police officer who used to torture people, African Americans. This guy died yesterday. And in my neighborhood, in my father's neighborhood, he tortured African Americans with tasers and punched pregnant women. And nobody did anything about it. And he wasn't charged until he was 60, after he lived his life and ruined countless lives. How long are we going to let this continue? We need to challenge the status quo. And right now, I believe everybody in this room has the ability to push forward and to challenge the entity that is, and to stop judging people and actually get to know their character. I have friends across the party lines, I have friends across different colored skins, and I used to judge, because from Northern Illinois, I used to judge people from Southern Illinois. But that changed when I began to realize they have a heart in people too, and they fear the same things I do. I want a job in the future. I'm sure everybody in here wants a job, am I right? Like, let's be real. And I'm sure everybody wants that same safety and that same respect and dignity. My father, even though he went through that in Chicago, was able to reach the highest level in the corporate world, second highest ranking member in his job. I was blessed to have that experience. But even though he made it up there, there's still racism and there's still judgment and sexism in America. In Tesla, there have been multiple complaints about sexual harassment and racism. But in order to challenge these corporate entities, and in order to challenge this institution, we need to vote and we need to push on. And this thing that we call race that's awkward, you need to push through it and read about it. This thing called racism, you need to push through it and talk to people about it. This is the important issue. We need to make sure we can come as one, because we shall overcome. Thank you.